Anglophiles of the internet, my name is Adriana and today I'm here to talk a little bit about a book called Unspoken by Rees Brennan. This is like a YA gothic novel and it's about a character named Cami Glass. She has journalistic ambitions and she's looking for a story, specifically the story of her hometown, which is called Sorry in the Vale, which is perhaps one of the funniest names I've ever heard. And all of her life she's heard these whisperings, these myths about this very prominent family in Sorry in the Vale called the Lindburns. She always asks around about the Lindburns, but nobody can give her any concrete information. Nobody wants to talk about them, and they've been gone from the town for quite some time. But when the Lindburns make a sudden and unexpected return to Sorry in the Vale, things start getting a little creepy around town. And everything points back to the Lindburn family because all of these strange occurrences started happening after they came back into town. As if all of that weren't enough, Cami also has a really important secret, and that is that she has this sort of voice that she's always heard in her mind ever since she was a little girl. So what happens when the voice in Cami's head actually belongs to somebody else who exists in the real world, and what happens when that person shows up in her town? So I had heard a lot of fantastic things about this book, both from friends in real life and from people on BookTube, but most recently Ashley from Said the Story was absolutely raving about this book, especially on Twitter. Her enthusiasm and her excitement for the story is really what made me hasten to pick it up. I went to my library, I checked it out, and I read it at the very beginning of June, and I loved it. The first thing that I think everybody who talks about this book has to discuss is that it's so funny. It has such wry and smart and witty humor and dialogue and banter. It's awesome. And the humor was really the first thing that I latched onto in this story because the narration is very amusing and very entertaining, and like I said, the dialogue as well is just really funny. Rees Brennan has a fantastic sense of humor. I really like it. It really clicks with my own, so I really appreciated all of the jokes and all of the banter in this story. And on that note, I also have to say I really love the characters. This story has a fantastic ensemble cast of characters, both main and supporting. They're all distinctive. They all have very prominent features and characteristics about them that I love. And like I said, I really love their relationship with one another, their friendships with one another, and I had a lot of fun reading the exchanges that went on between them because they're all just very funny people. I have to say the best part of this novel for me was the protagonist, Cami. She was phenomenal. She is one of the best female protagonists, scratch that, just protagonists that I've ever read in my life. She is smart, she's intelligent, she's a go-getter, she is determined, she will not let anybody stand in her way, she knows exactly what she's looking for, and she's not going to stop until she gets it. She has a fantastic sense of humor, but she also has an amazing work ethic. But above that, there are more important things about her character that I really loved. The first is how she's a very logical character and she's able to maintain a very clear head in very difficult situations. And the second really awesome thing about Cami that I don't think enough people talk about is her amazing sense of empathy. There are so many twisted characters in here, so many awful things happening, and it would be so easy for Cami to pass judgment on so many of the characters in this story, but she never does. She's really able to understand where people are coming from and how they may have been brought to these terrible decisions in their lives. And just like I said, she has an amazing ability to empathize with others, and that's something that I really love about her as a character. She was by far the best part of this story for me, no contest. I will say I had two minor problems with this story, but they're really not deal breakers. The first thing is the romance, and I don't have a problem with it because there is a romantic arc or anything like that. I'm a big fan of angsty romance and all that kind of stuff, but I felt like sometimes the romantic arcs in this story were maybe overly angsty, maybe a little bit melodramatic. I can definitely see why that is because these characters are in very difficult situations. Like, two of them have access to each other's minds. Like, it's a lot. I'm just not really a dramatic person, so that was kind of, you know, on and off for me. And the second little criticism that I have is that maybe the latter half of this book had maybe too much information, borderline info dumping. There's definitely a lot of suspense and mystery that's going on in this story, and I thought the first half had a nice built. And I'm not trying to say that the answers that we get are not comprehensive within the context of the story or anything like that. I'm just saying that I wish that all of these reveals had happened more organically and more spread out across the storyline. But I really enjoyed this story for so many reasons: the characters, the storyline, the direction that it's going, and I am really excited to get into the sequel. And like I said, those two minor criticisms were not really deal breakers for me, so in the end I gave Unspoken 4 out of 5 stars. So if you read Unspoken for Ashley's read along, or if you've read this book before, please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. So that's all I have for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you on the flip side of the page.